Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a special continuation of the Sunday stream as I continue on into a new series that I'm covering on the BRIDGE program, trade group, DEI consultancy firm. It's all of these things and none of these things at the same time or something, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Yes, if you're not aware of what I'm talking about, you'll have to go back to yesterday's Sunday stream. I've created a playlist on my channel for these videos. Just the bridge, the future of DEI. And so you can find out in sequence if you aren't already educated on bridge. Boy, oh boy, you will be after all of this because I sure am. But we left off about quarter of the way through the interview with the founder of Bridge yesterday. So I thought I'd continue off of that and find out if there's anything more we can learn about Bridge, its founder, and what it is meant to do. But before I get to all that, who's joining me for this ambush stream by a different name? Dr. Functional, good morning. Matt Barnes, good morning. Vader35, good morning. Let's see, who else is here? Mike R., good morning. Kay Scholl, good morning. Robert Pincus, good morning. Noah Asensio, good morning. Mike Savage, blarg. Apex Algorithm Guy, good morning. Super Mutant 2099, good morning. Simon Willikins, good morning. And to anybody else I might have missed. Oh, wait. Oh, well, Derek LaRue, it just popped up on the deal. Derek LaRue, thank you so much. Good morning to you. And thank you again for your continued generosity and support. I really do appreciate it. Hope you're having a good morning and that you enjoy the show. Bridget, good morning. And for anybody that I might miss in the next few minutes, anybody lurking, anybody in the future, good morning. So yes, we're going to continue on looking at Bridge. And as a brief overview of Bridge, well, here's some interesting stuff. First and foremost, Bridge, okay, this is what I understood from the last stream and listening to the founder and reading their website. Bridge brands itself as a trade group specifically for chief diversity officers and or like-minded individuals in corporate America, specifically focusing in on marketing departments and people in marketing. But it also offers a measurement tool and service to companies in order to gauge their inclusion maturity. Now, what is inclusion maturity? Well, we have a couple of graphs that Bridge offers that purportedly break down what this means, but here's the problem I have with the graphs. I have absolutely no idea what they are measuring. You know, like what is it that they are measuring these factors on? Motivate change, establish accountability, prepare the organization, measure progress, and they have these bars that have percentiles on them, and that they're on the other side of the bar graph. It says this is your maturity level. How do you measure maturity? What does that mean? I don't know. I still don't know after listening to the founder. In addition to that, you have things like your brand inclusion maturity score. And it's just, I mean, if you look at these graphs, they don't tell you anything. All right, it says on the one, and for those of you listening at home, I apologize, but I have graphs up on the screen. We have brand inclusion maturity score, 100% down to 0%. High maturity level is 70%. This example has 35.4%. Based on what? Inclusion maturity by area of framework. They're just numbers on a screen. I mean, maybe they're just meant to be abstracts. But you'd think they'd give some kind of idea of how do you figure out your maturity score, maturity based on what standard and on. It boggles the mind. But either way, I could be mistaken. And this is just my, assessment of things so far. But Bridge seems to be just another DEI consultancy firm wrapping itself in the idea of being a trade group. Because ultimately, our founder so far has been, in no uncertain terms, marketing Bridge's measurement tools and services to any company that might need help. We spent a little bit of time, and we might have to overlap a little bit from the last episode with her talking about just who could benefit from Bridge's services. I'm not so sure that Bridge is anything new, except a DEI consultancy firm in a different coat of paint. Anyway, our founding executive committee here. Here are the personalities therein. I have videos, or at least a couple more, from some of the individuals listed here that deal with DEI that I'll be doing further on into the series of this. I don't know that I'll do a stream every day on Bridge, but it will be, I'll try to wrap it up in general terms in short order. But yes, we're going to be listening again to Sheryl Daija, or Daija, not quite sure. We'll find out eventually, or not. In the near future, there will be a video covering the the global chief marketing officer from Sephora, who is also on the executive committee. Yesterday, we looked at a very brief video from the chair, Janita Wilson from Discover, and now we're going to continue with the interview of Sheryl Daija. I've rewound the video, so to speak, back a little bit so we can get the fullness of the question by the interviewer and then the answer by Sheryl, and then we will continue onward. I hope to finish up this mostly today. We'll see how much we can get through it. If we start going into 2 or 3 hours or something, I might have to cut it short. But otherwise, that is the idea. Who else is here before I begin? Rotten Corpse, good morning. Attorney Eris, good morning. Keldrig, good morning. And Kiro Soldier, good morning to you. And again, to anybody else who's lurking or in the future. Okay, so let's begin again with Sheryl Daija.
It's imperative for every company.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question, because I was just listening to the brands that you were talking about, and again, because I'm a marketer. Yeah. I used to work with consumer product goods quite a bit, and so when I was hearing the companies that you're naming, I'm like, okay, so this may work best with CPG type companies, but you're saying no, this could be products, this could be services, this can be any organization,
retailers. We're actually in the process. We're actually in the process of adding a 6th pillar.
Right. Okay. So yeah, this is the point at which she was talking about their inclusion, maturity, rating score, and measurement tools, and all this. And now we're talking about, oh, it's not just for these kinds of companies; it could be for any company. Is this a trade group? I say, admittedly, I'm not all that clear on exactly what trade groups mean or what the limitations of that definition are. But if you're a diversity, equity, and inclusion entity, and you're offering measurement services so that companies can improve on their metrics for their DEI goals, that's just consultancy. You might call yourself a trade group. That's just a consultancy firm, unless they can be one and the same. Because again, English major, not business major. So if trade group is also consultancy in the normal world, okay, then it's not doing anything new. But then Bridge isn't doing anything other than what a DEI consultancy group has been doing for the last 10 years.
Which is going to be the in-store experience, because, right, it's really important. We know that there's unfortunately a lot of discrimination in how different people are treated within the store experience.
Okay, and I think I asked this as well yesterday. Okay, so how does Bridge address that in individual storefronts? And
so we're going to add now a 6th pillar, which is business practices that contribute to equity within the in-store experience. And we're working, with Sephora and a number of retailers to do that. So yeah, it's a very flexible assessment where we will customize it, right? So obviously, Sephora's commercial practice is going to be different than Campbell's commercial practices.
Right.
So we go in and we understand the company and we customize it.
Yeah, I think, like I said yesterday, that may be true. Yeah, selling soup versus selling makeup are two different businesses, but the core marketing practices and so on are probably fairly similar, because you're still operating on a, demand versus supply, basic economics and so on. But okay, you're going to customize it. All right, so you are a services organization. Right, you're not like a social networking group for CDOs. At the end of the day, you are a consultancy services organization, Bridge.
What's really, I think, powerful about the process is that you can have information within 6 weeks. This is not a long drawn out, lengthy assessment where you need 300 people taking it. This is where you need like cross-functional, very good representation across both, gender, racial, differing abilities, etc., different, kind of seniority, right? So you want leaders and associates.
Okay, and that's where she crossed. I think it's the first time in this interview where she crossed over into legally questionable metrics by which to measure success. You start talking about race, gender, so on. Yeah, that's not good. And since everything else has been talking about percentiles so far and measurements of success, that's edging into quota territory.
But the truth is, if you get 30 to 40 people within your organization taking the assessment, you'll get a very true reading of where you are on the scale of inclusion maturity. Mm-hmm. Now, what I think you'll really love is one of the pieces that we have seen now consistently as a gap, right? Because obviously, once you get the assessment done, you can see where your gaps are, right? You're going to be high maybe in certain business practices, a little lower in others.
Yeah, the gaps in what again? Could it be demographic split? I know, broken record. What can I tell you? Don Meow 90. Good morning to you. Let's see. Simon Willikins, you're going to make a lot of people sick if you put makeup in your soup or encourage people to put soup on their face. It's true. Now, let's not enter into the discussion of whether cereal is soup, because the ranting monkey will then appear. I'm still waiting to see if I can just like manifest ranting monkey. If I just sort of like start talking about him, will he just suddenly show up? That'd be great. It's like if I just say the secret words enough time, it's like bat hunter, cereal is soup, stairs. Will ranting monkey appear? I don't know.
Well, one of the consistent gaps is inclusive marketing.
One of the consistent gaps is inclusive market. Okay. Dare I ask you to describe inclusive marketing? And our host, apparently, with her wide hands, I'm guessing it's going to be like, duh, sort of sentiment. Inclusive marketing. All right. What is inclusive marketing?
Hello.
Well, not duh, but hello.
So, right? Because, the world has changed so much, right?
The world is changing.
Right. I mean, the racial diversity in our country has, let's just talk about the US for a second, right?
Sure. Let's talk about the US for a second. Tell us about race some more.
Right? The racial diversity in our country has changed so much. I mean, what does multicultural marketing even mean anymore, right? You have
marketing to different cultures. I'm just playing, spelling bee process here.
You have white people over here, and then you have everybody else over here. Like
you have white people over here and everybody else over here. But talking about cultures, obviously, white people are a culture. There's absolutely no cultural differential between a white guy in Texas and a white guy in Romania. Just there isn't any cultural difference. They're exactly the same. You put them both in the same room and they just have plenty to talk about and know exactly what each other is thinking about things because, white is a culture. She's coming from South Africa, apartheid South Africa. So maybe that's her worldview on things. But I hate to tell you this, not all white people have the same culture, just like not all black people have the same culture. Take a black guy from Detroit and a black guy from Jamaica, and you're probably going to have some differences there, right? I don't know what to tell you. Or an Asian guy from Japan and an Asian guy from the Philippines. There might be some differences there. But okay, you want to monolith everything. Sure, go ahead. That's the thinking behind Bridge. Apparently. Here's the thing. Whatever our speaker is saying is at the core of how Bridge operates and Bridge's philosophy. That's the one interesting thing about this interview is that this entire trade organization, consultancy group, whatever, is the brainchild of this individual. So whatever she says and however she forms her worldview for us to consume, we can take that from the proverbial horse's mouth as to how Bridge operates and how Bridge sees the world.
It just doesn't make sense for the world that we live in. So So that has been identified as a major gap. And we were thankfully proactive, and we actually have launched an inclusive media development committee.
A media development committee. Okay.
We held our first meeting yesterday, and I'm I was very excited because we had 45 companies participate in the meeting.
I'd love to know the names of those companies as they're all getting together to decide how to conduct their media campaigns under the BRIDGE philosophy.
And the conversation was really interesting and rich because it's really time now to start to redefine what does general market mean?
Yes.
How do you look at the marketplace? How do we as brands and marketers start from a different perspective than we have been doing media with, right?
If you say so. I would love for you to give us some details.
Well, marketing, right? Because again, the tapestry of our racial makeup of this country is changing, and quite frankly, there can be as many governors as they need to attack DE&I. The change is inevitable.
Okay, DE&I is not. Wait. DE&I is not heralding forth the changes in racial makeup of demographics in this country. DEI is preying on racist thinking and social justice wingnuttery. Okay, here's the thing. If the demographics of the entire country, like I said yesterday, completely flip, right? And you have a demographic that is currently in the minority become the majority. What kind of ends, what kind of values will we as Americans continue to strive for based on our Constitution and the laws in place? Right? Equality under the law and opportunity in the absence of irrelevant discrimination. DE&I promotes discrimination. And you're proving it every time you open up about anything dealing with race in the first place. You're evaluating the success of a company's makeup on the basis of its aesthetic demographics. That's it. You haven't talked about talent. You haven't talked about education or skill set or anything else. Everything that you've brought up so far in evaluating a company's success has resolved down to race and in a couple instances, gender. And that's it. Okay. So if you are operating on that basis, if all the demographics were exactly as you liked them to be and you were still operating on that basis, you'd still be doing things wrong according to our laws, according to the spirit behind those laws. So getting rid of DEI is getting rid of unconstitutional discrimination. So if you're complaining about governors trying to get rid of DEI, well, then you're on the side of unconstitutional discrimination. That is the long and the short. It was the case before the affirmative action decision, but is certainly more clearly the case, for anybody who wasn't aware, after the affirmative action decision. So what does the changing of the racial demographics in this country have to do with anything in regards to the fallacy of DEI? Just doesn't quite compute, does it? Good morning, Roan Harushan. Hope you're having a good morning.
I mean, change is inevitable. You can't fight inevitability.
DEI is not heralding forth demographic change. Demographic change is going to happen regardless. You're correct. What is DEI promoting? That's the part that you are not confessing to or willing to admit.
Yeah.
So
no, go ahead. You're speaking my language.
Because I know we could go down that path too.
I wish you would. I really wish you would.
But I'll finish my point. My point was that there is an inevitability to how the world is going to look, right? Yeah. And if marketers don't start paying attention to that, it's a cautionary tale, right? We've seen it already start happening, right?
Okay, marketing to your customer base. What does that have to do with DEI? What does that have to do with the makeup of a workforce? What value are you putting on skin color and gender? in your hiring and promotion decisions?
You've got companies like Bevel, who Tristan Walker talks about, who was the founder of Bevel. He doesn't talk about the fact that razors were going to be this huge marketplace for him. He talks about the inequities of walking down the aisle and not being able to find a single blade razor, or let's just say a quality single blade razor, right?
Quality single blade razor.
I mean, Fenty, right? Cosmetic companies decided that they weren't going to make products for Black women. So now you got $1 billion company that is.
Whoa. Okay. Apparently there was some kind of weird transition there. There's some editing going on in this interview. All right. That was bizarre. Why did they decide to do that? I mean, what was the rationale? What was the business case for deciding to do that? Is it because there was no market for them with that particular demographic? I guess here's the question. Here's the core problem with DEI. Should a company make efforts to please demographics and different aspects of the population if there's no return on that investment? Right? I mean, should a company market a product that they know will not sell simply because on the surface level of it, it is meant to be for a particular demographic that will make the company, look morally correct? Could a business survive making those moves all the time? Let's spend money on marketing. Let's spend money on production and product research and development and everything for something we know that we do not have a market for. Is that what our speaker is advising? I don't know what the story is behind the example she gave, but that sure sounds like it. Let me back up a little bit.
Talk about the fact that razors were going to be this huge marketplace for him. He talks about the inequities of walking down the aisle and not being able to find a single blade razor, or let's just say a quality single blade razor, right? I mean, Fenty, right? Cosmetic companies decided that they weren't going to make products for Black women. So now you got $1 billion company that is. We must.
Okay, Fenty is. I don't know if you can believe it. I don't know anything about makeup companies. Fenty? How do you spell that? Fenty? Okay, Fenty. All right. Fenty. Just doing some on-the-side research here. Let's see. Fenty Beauty by Rihanna. Wait a second. Fenty. So wait, Rihanna. Fenty is Rihanna's company? I guess so. And they're not marketing to Black women? Wait, did I miss something? I'm confused now. So Fenty, a company backed by Rihanna, is not marketing to Black women, or is now marketing to Black women. Wait a second. Sorry, I apologize. I'm just trying to understand what the complaint is here.
It's a cautionary tale, right? We've seen it already start happening, right? You've got companies like Bevel, who Tristan Walker's were going to be this huge marketplace for him. He talks about a quality single blade razor, right? I mean, Fenty, right? Cosmetic companies decided that they weren't going to make products for Black women.
Oh, okay. She's talking about other companies, and Fenty is the outlier. Okay. So other cosmetic companies aren't making makeup for Black women. Fenty is, and so now they've cornered the market. Is that so? Is that really the case, that every other major makeup companies have carved out marketing to Black women? Is that it? I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll take her word for it. Let's see. Fenty stock price. Is it really? Oh, is it publicly traded? No, it's a privately held company. Okay, so Fenty. Let's see. Do they have? I don't know if they have to report their profits. Let's see. Forbes reports Fenty Beauty is valued at $2.8 billion. With CEO Rihanna owning 50% of the company's value, with an annual revenue of $582 million and more than 12 million followers on Instagram, Fenty Beauty quickly expanded as the most popular beauty brand in the industry. It's valued at $2.8 billion. Is that how much it's actually worth? I don't know. But okay, so there you go. I wonder if it would have had as much success if Rihanna wasn't behind it.
No. So now you got $1 billion company.
Well, Satsu's here. Okay, well, so I try to manifest one of my old streaming partners, but the other one shows up. I must have my spell mixed, by backwards or something. Satsu, how's it going, Satsu? Let's see. I think I have something for Satsu. I got something. Right?
Wowie fucking wow.
So there's that. Do I have anything else for Satsu? Oh, I got something else too. This is my friend Satsu, aka Chef Tyrone, founder, owner, and CEO of Oshi Fried Chicken LLC, featuring a new line of seasoned flour mixes. Chef Tyrone's seasoned blends are the perfect gateway to delicious fried chicken or any other protein you might want to use them on. These recipes were painstakingly tested in Tyrone's home kitchen to bring you the fantastic flavors that you and your family can enjoy. The current flavor lineup includes original, spicy, and lemon garlic herb. You can buy individual packs of your favorite flavors or save some money by ordering a variety bundle all through the online store. Go to www.oishifc.com and order today. Yes, there we go. And my first venture into creating advertisements. Well, not maybe my first venture creating ad, but like actual advertisement bit or something. Advertisement. But yes, hello, Satsu. Hope you're doing well. I know that is all out of date at this point. And Satsu, tell everybody in the chat what the other flavors and things are that you have available. I know that it's changed. That ad is out of date, save for the the website and everything. But let's see, Simon Willikins. Maybe if you both of you tried together, you could get Ranting Monkey. Yes, Satsu. We just have to we don't try to manifest Ranting Monkey. I was saying things like stairs and a bat killer and cereal is soup and just seeing if I could conjure him into existence. I tried this the other day and it didn't work. But you showed up, so maybe I need to start talking about I don't know, weeb stuff or cooking or something, and then suddenly Ranting Monkey will show up. LOL, very dated. Okay, well, then I need some new copy. I need to go back. I need to check out the website again and update my script and create something else. So I'll try to get on that soon. Well, I like having that little ad there. It's fun. All right. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah. So makeup companies, by and large, apparently, have decided not to market or make products for Black women, whereas Fenty, backed by Rihanna, has. And now Fenty is valued, and I put quotation marks around valued at $2.8 billion. Okay. And so the company found a market that was being underserved, and it's all about race. So that makes what Bridge is doing acceptable?
That is. We must start to respect and raise the voices of chief diversity officers and bring them into the opportunity to create business impact.
We must raise the voices of CDOs. Okay, I'm pretty sure our speaker has not been asleep for the last 10 years. Chief diversity officers have been out there for a long time. And their impact, I have done more than a few panel discussions, live streams, corporate videos, etc. I was just saying this yesterday. Satsu, maybe it's a delayed reaction. I was just saying yesterday how the way our speaker is talking about the DEI landscape, it's almost as if because of the inception of her trade group, Bridge, we're suddenly at 2016 again, and history never happened. She was bringing up things in ways that sounded like, oh, this is just something that occurred. This has never been done before, something like that. And I kept thinking to myself, this is like what Satsu said about Trump in 2016. Nothing occurred before 2016 in Trump. Everything Trump did was all so scandalous and new and just out of the bounds, da-da-da-da-da. It sounds like our speaker is trying to reset history or to sell herself and her company. And let's be honest here. At this point, it's a consultancy company as something new and innovative that's never been tried before. We need to raise the voices of CDOs. To do what? And again, what impact does a chief diversity officer have directly on the performance of business? What does a chief diversity officer have to tell the accounting department about how to do their jobs, the sales department about how to do their jobs, the marketing department about how to do their jobs? What?
They are a wealth of just unbelievable value.
Why?
And knowledge. And
in what? Knowledge about what? What knowledge is inherent? Here's the thing. And I was thinking about this earlier today before I went live. When I think of a chief something officer, right? What is that thing in between the chief and the officer? It is a trade. It is a skill, right? Chief accounting officer, right? All right. Chief sales officer, whatever. Chief marketing officer, chief diversity officer. How is diversity a skill? How is diversity a trade? Like what particular diploma or education do you need to have to qualify yourself as a diversity rather than an accountant, rather than a salesperson, and so on? Chief diversity officer tells you absolutely nothing about the value of the individual to hold that title. Doesn't even indicate what is it meant to be a chief diversity officer. If I was the chief accountant at a company, I mean, I'd have to double check your credentials, but I could at least make a, relatively honest assumption that you have an accounting degree. You know how to math. You know the laws regarding the accounting that you do for your company and so on, right? There's a sort of a general knowledge of what that means. But chief diversity officer means nothing. Absolutely nothing.
They bring a lens to the business that not everyone can bring. And it's not just enough to be a person of color. It's not just enough to be a Black person.
You're right. It is not just enough. You're right. You actually, okay, all right, well, tell me what skills or qualifications, aside from melanin count, put somebody into a place where they can be seen as a legitimate CDO.
Or LGBTQ, or Asian, or Latino.
It's not just enough to be anything but white and straight, okay?
D.E.I leaders have a very different lens to everything, right?
I agree. They have a very, very different lens where they see everybody on the basis of race or gender or orientation.
Right? They bring a lens that is so critical to business. And honestly, the value that I see just sitting at the board meeting with our chief diversity officers, I have learned so much about how to look at the world differently through their lens and through the way that they think about the world.
You mean assessing people's value on the basis of what they look like? Yeah, no, that's an innovative worldview. I'll give you that.
And the marketers on our board have learned so much from them.
Oh.
So one of the things that I love about IMAX is that it kind of unlocks this collaboration between chief diversity officers, CMOs, and CEOs, because it kind of puts everything on a level
playing field. I was about to say a level playing field. Really? Okay. How? What? Example. Give me an example. What are you talking about? What does a CDO see about the world that someone else cannot? What is a perspective that it is so unique to a chief diversity officer?
Playing field, right? Mm-hmm. Where everybody can collaborate in building inclusive brands. And
Satsu. No. Here's the thing, Satsu, the piece of information you don't have. Our speaker grew up in apartheid South Africa. Okay? She grew up in apartheid South Africa. So you would think that someone who wasn't on the losing side of that particular arrangement would have some idea of what a better way to see the world is. No. She's taken her lessons from apartheid South Africa, wear them like a badge as though she's somehow enlightened, and then gone completely 180 into promoting the very same kinds of ideas and concepts. It is quite remarkable. It is quite a cognitive dissonance.
And everyone has their role in doing that. I mean, I personally think CMOs should be talking to their chief diversity officers at least once a week.
Of course you do, because you have to keep making chief diversity officers relevant. They are your primary customer, and they are your primary gateway into finding new clients for your consultation services. Right? What makes CDOs, chief diversity officers, valuable specifically? Not abstract, not just, pillow talk, specifically. What does someone who carries the title of CDO have that no one else has and can't bring to the table?
If not like every day.
Oh, yeah.
And I've heard stories where CEOs can't even get meetings with their CMOs.
Yeah.
So
I can see why they don't have meetings with their chief marketing officers, because they offer no value. What is a chief diversity officer going to tell a marketing officer to do about their job? The chief marketing officer probably went to business school, has a marketing degree, et cetera, and so forth. What qualifications are necessary to become a chief diversity officer? What puts them on the same level, skill-wise, academically, experience-wise, as a chief marketing officer, that they would have anything to tell a chief marketing officer what to do about their job?
It's really, and then I've heard, the flip side, and you see the magic unfold when that collaboration happens. So
yeah. So my belief is that the chief diversity officer should actually be right under the CEO, and then the chief operating and chief marketing should report into the chief diversity officer.
Sure. Yeah. The chief diversity officer should be second only to the CEO in a company's structure. I'm sure you do, because then obviously if you're only second to the CEO, man, imagine that paycheck. If every decision had to first go through the chief diversity officer before reaching the ears of the CEO. Oh man, I must be listening to some rap music, because that is ludicrous.
That's just my thought.
Wow, well, I like that. I like it.
Yeah, of course you do.
Because if it's supposed to be infused in everything,
it's got to be.
It has to be at the top.
Yeah. Yes, it has to be at the top, infused into everything and doing nothing. Honestly, I would love to see it. I would love to see a major corporation restructure themselves in that way. I would love to see the downhill ski slope of their stock price after that decision and change is made. As soon as everything has to pass through the CDO before it gets to the CEO and a decision is made, boy, howdy. I would just love to see that alpine trip.
I think I'll just add one other thing. I think what IMAX also does is, it moves the conversation away from opinions and beliefs, and it puts it into business practices.
Really? Okay, give me a business practice. So far, it's been nothing but opinions and beliefs. So far, it's been nothing but abstracts and philosophy. Okay, give me a business practice.
Right? Data. Exactly, data. So, we can stop arguing about whether it's a moral imperative or it's not a moral imperative, or we're taking jobs away or we're not, or like.
We can? Oh, okay. So your process cures companies of having to ask those questions when it comes down to DEI. Oh, okay.
It's just none of that matters. The issue is, what are your business practices that are contributing to an inclusive brand?
Okay.
I love this framework. I love this this index, this assessment that you have.
Really? I love it too. Could you explain it to me?
Because again, it's not just, this is just a marketing tool. This is like a holistic view of your organization, from employees to customers to industry, like all of the things that I said earlier, right?
It is all things to all people. It solves all problems. It is a corporate panacea for everything that might cause you ill. I mean, because we say it is. Because, abstract numbers on a graph that don't define what they're for, how they make a measurement, or anything else. Yes, it covers all the bases, everyone. Everything you need is right here, an all-in-one solution to your problems as a company. I mean, you could call that snake oil. No, wait, no, this is an innovative, comprehensive, holistic tool for business practices and improving your inclusion maturity.
Right? Exactly. This is a way to measure that and to show those gaps,
right,
in how you may or may not be showing up. And one of the biggest challenges that I had in doing inclusive marketing, well, two of the biggest challenges.
Oh, specifics? Examples? What is this? Could it be? Oh boy, okay. I should install a seatbelt on my chair or something. I need to fasten it. Okay, all right, you guys ready? Let me hold on for dear life. I'm on the edge of my seat. Let me move to the edge of my seat. Ugh. All right, I'm on the edge of my seat. You ready? Okay, what are the two biggest challenges to inclusive marketing? Here we go.
That I had was one, exactly what you just said, was, marketing should just put a black and a brown face on something and call it a day. And I'm like, no.
Well, I agree. Simply tokenizing people and pandering to racial demographics is kind of silly. So what's your second challenge?
That's not what we're about to do.
That's not. No, of course not. No company would ever just impose a racial demographic into a situation for the sake of pandering. No, they would never do that.
No. Here. Like, it needs to be intentional. It needs.
Oh no, it isn't. No. Trust me. If you are putting someone up front simply on the basis of what they look like skin color wise, it's intentional. Okay, it's not an accident. What do you mean it has to be intentional? What you just described is intentional. It's discriminatory. It's pandering. They didn't slip on a banana peel and fall into putting someone on the screen who happens to be a particular skin color. Okay, it has to be intentional.
It needs to be authentic.
Authentic. What do you mean authentic? I mean, I hear that word a lot. It could mean a lot of things. You could be right, depending on what you're talking about. Are we going to get an actual active example?
It needs to be representative of the cultures and the communities that we are touching.
I'll just let that one sit.
It can't just be, for lack of a better term, blackface on, everything else that you've already done.
Okay, so what are the extra steps that need to be taken to make sure that it is not simply performative?
The other thing that
I
appreciated about what you said was kind of the knowledge and information that true chief diversity officers that are practitioners bring to the table.
Whoa, true chief diversity officers? True chief diversity officers. That reminds me of something. I would love to know the differential between a true chief diversity officer and a false one. What commends someone to the position of a actual CDO?
From a business perspective, because they do see things more holistically. And again, one of the challenges that I have an MBA.
Well, and I mean this sincerely. Congratulations. I mean, most diversity consultants that I've listened to in the past have been really all over the place with what qualifies them to be a diversity consultant or a CDO or anything else. So you have an MBA. Well, good. I mean, at least that's something. There was one lady I looked at where she had she had a master's in organizational psychology, and I thought, well, that sounds like a great piece of education to bring forward as a diversity consultant. But then she kind of lamented the fact that none of that was really necessary to get the job that she had or to get the work that she was getting. And I felt really sorry for her because I thought to myself, golly, how much money did she waste and how much money is she still paying back, I wonder, to operate in a position in a career that did not require it of her. But okay, you have an MBA, all right.
In management. I've done marketing. I've done strategic alliances and partnerships. And so to be told by someone, oh, well, you're marketing, your job is just to make things look pretty.
I still don't understand this whole make things look. She's brought that up a couple of times now. Where was this? What were the circumstances? If someone's denigrating your entire career into just make things look pretty, I could see that being kind of irritating a little bit. But so what is, okay. Just make things look pretty. So you don't like your career, your expertise being whittled down to simply window dressing, right? Simply focusing on aesthetics. It's odd then that you find yourself promoting DEI. Just a bit bizarre to me.
Was very frustrating.
Yeah.
But it also kind of told me this is where this organization sees this work.
Yeah.
Right. Like it is just a check the box. We're just going to do the bare minimum. And so there was this idea that anybody can do inclusive marketing.
Anybody can, because there's no definition to it. That's just it. Here's the thing. You guys, perhaps those of you in the audience have heard of a company called Sweet Baby Inc. Okay, just as a current and very prominent example, Sweet Baby Inc., which is effectively a narrative and diversity consultancy group for mainly the video game industry. And what they will do is they are hired on to go through the characters, the writing, the story elements, and on of games, and then give advice or consultation on how to tweak these things to make them more inclusive and to make them more diverse. And what does this require? What education or speciality is required of someone to be able to do this? Nothing, except to be some kind of social justice, racist, sexist, etc. That's it. That's it. Okay, and notice how our speaker, our interviewer, did not say she has a degree in inclusive marketing. Unless you're going to say, unless there is some kind of credentials that are commonly accepted for inclusive marketing, you have an MBA and you went into marketing. Great. Okay, so if I say that I have experience in inclusive marketing, how do you prove me wrong? How do you prove yourself right?
And I'm like, that's not.
Hold on. I got to back up a little bit to get the fullness of what she was saying.
Pretty was very frustrating.
Yeah.
But it also kind of told me this is where this organization sees this work.
Yeah.
Right. Like it is just a check the box. We're just going to do the bare minimum. And so there was this idea that anybody can do inclusive marketing. And I'm like, that's not quite how this works.
How does it work? How does it work? You both of our speakers really need, at least for my personal satisfaction, need to give us some active examples of what they are talking about. If that's not how it works, you need to tell us how it does work, or in your opinion, how it should work. So, if inclusive marketing is not just about window dressing aesthetics, then what else is involved?
But and so I appreciate, Bridge bringing together not just folks that are passionate about this work or this space, but are in key strategic aspects of the business, especially your board, of, okay, this is how we need to look at this holistically. This is how we need to make sure that we are doing all the things that we need to do across all industries so that there's a baseline, right, for this. I cannot think of any organization that has thought about this from, I think you had the advocacy. You know, they may think of advocacy as one part of their business. They may stick it in ERG.
That's right.
They may stick it over there.
Oh, ERGs? Yeah, no, we talk about ERGs quite a lot around here. I don't know how many different ways I can say, tell us what you're talking about. Give me an example. Advocacy. Okay, what is the return on investment for advocacy? I'm being very capitalist here. For everything that you guys are talking about, so far, I have heard nothing about proof of increased profits based on any of what you are suggesting or anything about what you're complaining. So advocacy, ERGs. ERGs are advocacy? Huh. Okay.
Or commercial. They're not necessarily thinking of it in this way. Or if they are, it's stuck over in one other part of the business. This is truly a holistic view of how are you showing up inclusively across the board as an organization.
That's
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you were mentioning Sephora, and Sephora is known to be, especially these last few years, much more inclusive. You go into access, like who they're partnering with to create access.
Oh, and by the way, I have a video of the Sephora Chief Marketing Officer that I'll be doing in a future episode of this series. We have some Satsu in the chat here. Let's see. Only the ones who have followed the teachings and have been properly indoctrinated can carry out our holy work. Yeah, true. Silly scribe, clarity is forbidden. We need to be able to change everything we believe in any given moment. It's true. It's true. If you give away the special herbs and spices, not to belay a comparison, then everybody can do it, right? And then everybody knows how the sausage is made. But if we keep talking in high-minded terms, if we keep talking in all these quasi-pseudo-intellectual marketing business buzzword concepts and make it all very opaque, we can still sound like we're experts at something when we're actually experts at nothing and bring absolutely no value to any of the companies that we work for. Otherwise, companies wouldn't be cutting the budgets of these things. I know I'm being repetitive here, but there's only so many ways to say it. If DEI was an obvious golden goose that you just had to implement it and suddenly profits went up through the roof, then you wouldn't see entities like Microsoft, like Amazon, like the Academy Awards, all these other places cutting their budgets and or firing their diversity officers. It would just be a no-brainer to keep them on. It's like, well, it's like a magic pill. It just makes everything better. But it doesn't. And Bridge is just the latest example of a scramble to rebrand and try to maintain some foothold in so many places and make a buck off of this nonsense. And so our speaker has created, our interviewee here has created a quote unquote trade group, quote unquote DEI consultancy group that has a whole bunch of different people from a whole bunch of different companies on the board with it in order to maintain footing, right? It's got endorsements from all these major companies that are so desperate to hold on to this DEI, ESG gravy train that they think it is, except it's not. And so here we are. It's going to keep going. And I also wanted to make an observation. I forgot to do this yesterday. So this last Sunday, we looked at Bridge, right, which is a trade group / networking, whatever, for CDOs. The weekend before, I looked at board.org, that's BOARD.org, and their DEI subset platform, which is a non-disclosure, private networking platform for chief diversity officers to exchange strategies and ideas and things, right? It's all these weird little chief diversity collectives that are starting to pop up in prominent ways because they're all having to gather together and collectivize, nay, unionize in the face of opposition to their very careers. And, if you take you take a bundle of reeds, right? One reed you can snap in half really easily, but if you collect them all together, you can't quite break them. I think they're sort of circling up the wagons in the face of opposition to DEI, and it is a last stand kind of scenario. I just got a feeling. I got a feeling we are in the twilight years of the whole DEI apparatus.
The models, the folks that they have working in the stores, like all of these things, they've been very intentional over the last few years.
Very intentional to select models and the people working in the stores to what? To what end? What are they choosing their models and employees on the basis of in order to promote inclusion? What were you saying just a few minutes ago about you can't just put somebody who's Black on the screen and call it a day? What? Can't even go 5 minutes.
Or have you seen organizations that take this index and realize like, oh crap, we aren't where we thought we were. And to get to where we thought we are, like closing that gap just seemed impossible. Have you seen organizations that kind of have those aha moments?
I mean, aside from Sephora or, I mean, HP, I could give you a list. You know, there's Citigroup, there's HP, PricewaterhouseCooper. Who else has got Accenture? I mean, I could go on. There's, and they've been doing it for years.
Yeah. So I have so many things that I want to say to you because of the things that you just said. So I'm gonna rewind and then I'm gonna come back. But you know, what you had said about it's not enough just to put a Black face right on an ad, and I call that diversity without inclusion.
That's diversity without inclusion. Okay, so simply putting up an aesthetic is diversity without inclusion, but it's still diversity. Okay, so what is the correct way to do it?
Because so often we'll see ads where there's I mean, again, back to the razor example. I'm not picking on the razor industry, but
you are a little bit.
You'll see an ad with a Black guy using a razor, and okay, great. So there's a Black guy in the ad, but it's a razor that he would never use.
It's a razor he would never use. Why? I admittedly, I do not know of the panoply of razors out there, but as far as I know, a razor has a particular function. If we're talking about a Black guy, I'm assuming he's using it to shave his face. Why would he not use that razor?
Right.
So that is, from my perspective, that's diversity without inclusion.
Okay, admittedly, maybe there's something to that. Do you need special razors between races? I mean, I don't know. I go out and I get the triple blade Gillette thing. Is that designed specifically for white people? Because it doesn't say razors for white people. I don't see signs like in the 50s in water fountains as to who or what demographic razors belong to. So what? Okay, but let's just say for the sake of argument that she's absolutely correct. Okay, there is some class of face razors that Black guys simply won't use for whatever reason. All right, so how do you correctly market a razor of the correct type to the correct race?
And what I should tell you, and this really is actually going to take us down a whole nother path, but I do want to share it because it's just so, you're going to really, I think, react to it. So we're in the process of doing analysis against social media marketing.
Analysis. Did you say against social media marketing?
For the top 200 brands to measure. So our goal is to have inclusion become a new brand metric. I'm just going to put it out there.
I thought inclusion was already a brand metric. You have such wonderful charts already created for your inclusion maturity score in branding. But you want to make it so you want to create a market for your own product and process, you say, because it currently doesn't exist. Okay.
Okay. I love it. Yes. Okay.
So, and we're going down that path. So IMAX certainly is the first one, is the first way to do that, right? Because we're
IMAX. Yeah, remember guys, IMAX not trademark infringement. Bridge IMAX is their way to do it.
Measuring inclusion across the entire organization.
Right.
So, but we also want to make inclusion visible. What does that mean? Is we want to be able to show where companies are in terms of their social media marketing. And we're starting with social media because we think that it's representative of most marketing, but we will get to linear TV, etc. And what we're doing is we're measuring the inclusion against skin tone or skin type, right?
What were you saying a minute ago about diversity without inclusion? Just putting a black guy in an ad is diversity without inclusion, but your metrics for measuring success are skin tone and skin type. You can't escape it. No matter how much flowery language you try to insulate yourself from it, you cannot escape the bare and naked core of DEI, can you? At the end of the day, you've got nowhere else to go. This is remarkable.
Right? We're measuring inclusion against body type.
Okay. Oh, so not just race. Oh, okay, body type. All right, so more aesthetics.
Hair type.
Ooh, hair type. Oh, okay.
And then differing of abilities.
Differing of abilities. How does differing of abilities come across in social media? I mean, I have terrible vision, right? I have terrible vision. I guess you express that through wearing glasses. And what does that have to say about anything?
If I could share the presentation and the data with you, you'd be like, oh my gosh.
I wish you would. I wish you could. And I probably would be OMG.
So what we have found is that essentially brands are 23 years behind.
Yeah, we saw that before on your website. 23 years behind. I'm still not quite sure how you arrived at that.
I'll say it again. 23 years behind.
Behind what?
Against the current racial diversity in this country.
The current racial diversity. All right, so the current racial diversity in this country, the demographic split in percentiles of races in the United States are the benchmarks by which you need to measure success and correctness in a company. I don't know. That sounds awfully like trying to set racial quotas for your work and for the work that you're going to promote to other companies. I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me. I don't know what it sounds like to anybody else.
23 years behind. Now, so
I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Surprise?
No, I mean, it's alarming, but it's not surprising, right?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what that means is, and listen, we do know that there has been progress. I don't want to say that there hasn't been progress, because there has been progress.
Oh, has there been? Oh, okay. In what way has there been progress? How do you measure progress again? Oh, is it racial demographics?
And there are companies that are doing it well. Dove, for example, is at the exceeds, right?
Oh yeah, Dove. I remember all the wonderful marketing campaigns for Dove. Yeah, for soap, and how they really delved into the racial market. Some of those ad campaigns were something else.
The racial diversity, right? But you have an AC Eggleston-Bracey leading that, right? What's interesting is that what we have seen, and I do want to make the point, we're not here to name and shame, right?
No, we're not here to name and shame. We're just here to, I mean, every other makeup company out there except for Fenty is racist. But we're not here to name and shame.
We are here to help companies do better. We're here because we fundamentally believe, other than the fact that it's a moral imperative.
Other than it's a moral imperative. If you don't agree with us, you are morally bankrupt. But aside from that.
That it's a business imperative. The amount, there's $5 trillion in buying power from Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, Indigenous Americans. Like you can.
If you can believe it, people have money to spend, regardless of their skin tone.
Not find that growth from just organically continuing to go after the same market.
Oh,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
So you have $5 trillion in buying power. You must get this right if you're a brand.
You must get this right if you're a brand. Okay. And in order to do that, you have to put people of a particular racial makeup on your ads. Oh, but wait, that's diversity without inclusion. We still don't have any idea what the mechanism of quote unquote inclusion is, do we, in marketing or branding? You haven't told us. You say just having window dressing of a particular racial demographic is not enough, right? That's not enough. What is?
And so we're here really to help, right?
Oh,
and,
sure. You're here to help for a paycheck.
And we're not here to name and shame. But to your point, yes, brands go, wow, I really thought I was doing better. Or can you help me identify, where I've kind of, where the gaps are, right?
Yeah, Bridge is the sweet baby ink of corporate America, or they want to become that. Let's put it that way. Bridge is the sweet baby ink of corporate America,
right? Which is where you then go back to IMAX and you see that certain practices are not contributing to the higher maturity of inclusion. And companies are kind of. I mean, there are obviously there are companies that are higher in some practices, lower in other practices. Commercial practice, as you just identified, is one place that we are seeing pretty big gaps, right?
Commercial practices. That seems like an awfully giant umbrella,
right? Yeah. Because and we know that because we see it in the marketplace. We see the inequities.
The inequities or the disparities. There is a difference.
So this definitely is helping. Campbell's is now going to the next level with us, which is where we're really sitting with them and saying, okay, here are your gaps. Here's where we would focus, right? Because you need to be, listen, it's not going to happen overnight. You need to be intentional about where you focus.
No, we really need a long-term contract in order to help you with your racial disparity problems. Just a 7-year contract. It's nothing. Just pay us every month, whether we're actually doing anything or not, or actually improving anything or not. It's fine.
And then Bridge is really committed to building helping companies build the capabilities, right? Through things like the Inclusive Media Development Committee, we will create best practices for companies to do more effective inclusive marketing.
Right. More effective inclusive marketing, which you have not defined or given us any examples of so far, except to say putting people of particular skin types on your ads, hiring them as your models, or I suppose hiring them as your store employees. Thank you, Chicago Mike. Happy Luke Scribe. Are they still speaking each other's language? Okay. Now I'm hoping I'm not mistaking some kind of special holiday. Is there a holiday? Is this Luch Day? Like Luchador? Or is that meant to be lunch? I don't know. My cultural competency could be impoverished. So I need some clarification, Chicago Mike. I apologize. Is today Luchador Day? Or are you having lunch? Or is it both? I don't know what that means either. The implications are far-reaching. But thank you, Chicago Mike. They really are speaking each other's language because neither of them seemingly have to explain anything to the other. They just say stuff and they're all on the same page. Lunch. Okay. I kind of hoped it was Luchador Day. If Tall Person were here, he could probably tell us when Luchador Day is. I'm sure there is one. But thank you, Mike. You didn't need to super chat the answer. I appreciate it very much. But I hope you enjoy your lunch. I hope you're enjoying whatever these two are talking about at this point. We've only got 5 minutes left in this thing. Let's see if we can finish it off here.
Because we have to deconstruct that entire ecosystem in order to build it back up and build it on structures that are more equitable, right? Because they're just not right now.
What do you mean?
Metrics are not equitable.
Metrics.
The currency is not equitable, right? You could go into
currency.
Every piece of it.
What?
So that's why I'm excited, because it's a framework that allows people to see where they are. It allows people to.
No. It's a framework that allows people to see where they are based on a system that you created. You created this nonsense called inclusive maturity. Again, here's the graph. For those of you that are watching, here's the graph of how apparently inclusion maturity is measured across the different elements of a business. Now, how you determine these numbers, I have no idea. The individual categories are all over the place and can be anywhere from what kinds of people do you have in your leadership team to what is your compensation program for DEI goals, and onward and onward. I read a few of them yesterday. It's just, you're creating a solution that you're selling to solve a problem that you're telling people they have, right? It's as if I go up to somebody and say, hey, and I am stealing from The Simpsons here. Hey, this rock I have keeps tigers away. They're like, what? There aren't any tigers around here. Well, exactly, because I've got this rock. You see, this rock solves a problem you don't even know you have because I have this rock. That's what this is all sounding like to me. But hey, what do I know? I'm just an English major.
It allows companies to kind of say, okay, well, we would like to be here. How can you help us get there?
Right.
Where is here? What are you talking about?
Sheryl, I could talk to you all day.
I'm sure you guys could, because saying absolutely nothing but feeling like you're saying something is very little effort.
About this stuff is this is my, yes, I love it. I mean, this is my passion. This is what I loved doing. I just didn't like being in corporate doing it.
Yeah. I know. Well, then now with IMAX, maybe you would have had a better experience.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, the sirens are there. The sirens are coming for me. Can you hear that in the background? Big loud sirens. Okay.
I want to do a little bit of a pivot. So
okay, please. Yes.
How do you fill your cup? Like, what are the things that you do to take care of yourself? Because this is a lot of work. And I mean,
what is a lot of work? What? Saying nothing? Yeah, that's a lot of work. I'll tell you, this is a lot of work. How do you take care of yourself? Oh, how do you cope with the emotional labor of what you're doing every single day and doing nothing?
I'm just listening to everything that Bridge does.
I've been listening, and I haven't heard a single thing that Bridge does that is any different than any DEI consultancy group I've looked at in the last 7 years.
And you said, this started, what, 3-4 years ago?
No. We launched publicly April of 2022. So we've really been a year and a half. Yeah. I mean, we were obviously working behind the scenes, and we had specific milestones that we wanted to meet before we, brought it out into the public. But I think it's a testament to the people that are involved and to the need, right, in the industry.
Yeah. Oh my.
The need for. I am sure I'll never know, but I'd love to see, like in 2 or 3 years or something, I'd love to see and have confessed to by companies that decided to go along and employ Bridge for their inclusion maturity process. I'd love to see if they could actually draw a line between implementing that process and actual profits to the company. I have a distinct feeling that's never going to happen.
Oh my gosh. So how do you fill your cup? How do you take care of yourself? Because that's a heavy lift in 18, plus months.
Yeah. Well, I spend a lot of time on the soccer field watching my son play soccer. So that's my joy.
I don't know that I care so much about her personal coping mechanisms for all the hard labor that she's committing to this entire endeavor. So I think I'm going to end it there, which is a good time. But there you go. That is in no uncertain terms, the end of the interview with the founder, CEO, leader, chief consultant for Bridge, a trade group that is a measuring device that is a consultancy firm for not DEI, but instead Bridge and IMAX. No trademark infringement implied, I'm sure. Telling us practically nothing, except that every single time they actually mentioned anything about what they use to measure success, it was race. It was the racial demographic makeup of this country. That the racial demographic makeup of this country has to be used as the yardstick for whatever they are doing and whatever they are advising companies to do with their employee practices, their promotion practices, and their in-store marketing practices elsewise. So I don't know what to say. If you take away all the fluff and all the flowery language, the racial demographics of this country are the benchmarks by which to measure success in your business practices. That's it. In your employee makeup, in your marketing decisions, and onward. That's it. And that's the exact same thing that DEI has been promoting the entire time. Bridge is nothing new. Nothing new. It's got a whole bunch of new graphs. It's got new titles for things. It's using new words, new acronyms, but it's the same old song. Same old song and dance, just a different label. Thank you again, Chicago Mike. Is it like a bridge over troubled waters? I don't even know if I have that tune right, but yeah, well, the troubled waters are the DEI industry, right? DEI as an industry, as an apparatus in this country, is faltering. Long overdue, but it's faltering. And this group is attempting to bring together everybody to shore up a defense and a mutual justification for what they're doing in order to make a continual buck off of the DEI nonsense. The problem is, at the same time, they're still promoting absolutely regressive and legally questionable practices when it comes to employment and promotion and so on. And hey, they're going to squeeze this stone for as long as they can to get a buck out until it's absolutely impossible to do so. And I can only hope that either the EEOC, which I have little hope will do anything, or the independent lawsuits taking place across the country right now in the wake of the affirmative action decision will start to put something like a consequence on these actions. We'll actually have to remind people that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act exists and has existed this entire time, that racial and gender quotas are illegal when it comes to employment. I don't know why this has to be reminded to people, but unfortunately, DEI has been allowed to run rampant for the better part of a decade that I've been looking at it without any meaningful consequence. And so the hesitation has just disappeared. There's no sense of peril to it. Absolutely none. Let's take a minute here and go over some other comments from people. Standard Athlete, she looks like a henchman in a Jim Henson movie. Oh, now come on. Let's not get childish here. Why do I get the impression lady ex-husband looks like Kermit? Hey, what? No, wait, no, stop it. Stop it. Tyr Alexander the Scourge, black guy here, more or less. There is no such thing as a black guy or black men razor. Yeah, that was of everything that I heard so far, aside from the contradictory, oh, we don't do performative inclusion or whatever. I was like, I mean, I don't know. There are different products for different people based on their hair type, right? Okay, is there a special kind of razor for the hair that a black man might possess versus a white man? I don't know. I just go to the store and there's a section for, you got your toothpaste, you got your toothbrushes, you got your razor blades, and I just buy a razor. Is there like a special brand, a special type? I don't know. But it sounded ridiculous to me. So, but I'd have to ask somebody from that demographic. And Satsu says no. Tyr Alexander says no. So Faithless, if only Elon would get involved and back some lawsuits. Well, I don't know how much spare money Elon has at this point. After spending $44+ billion on Twitter or whatever, I don't know. But, time will tell. And fingers are, there are plenty of lawsuits taking place right now. Some companies have been scared out of their grant programs and such. There was a law firm, I think I did a video on it, if I'm not mistaken, a scripted video even on it, that a lawsuit was presented to them, and because they had a grant program and a mentorship or internship program that was specifically geared towards particular races, and they were threatened with a lawsuit, and they immediately ended the program rather than risk further legal liability. So there are small changes happening, but what we're seeing here is the desperate death throes of an entire industry that's been built up around nonsense. But there's just been so much money into it that it has to keep going. And so many companies are doubling down on it that there's still a buck to be made. There's still a buck to be made. Let's see. Oh, Attorney Eris. Mike sent you a super chat just to correct a typo. Legend. Yeah, no, I know. He didn't have to do that. I was making a little bit of fun. Luchador Day versus lunch. It's fine. It's fine. But I appreciate it very much. Minorities are poor. Also, look at all that spending power. Yeah, we hear that too, don't we? The economic disparities. Yeah, look. And then Keeverdam. I will post these at the end. Thank you, Keeverdam, so much for visiting. And I know this wasn't scheduled, so you don't have to apologize. I know you're going to apologize. I know you. Sorry, you don't. Keeverdam, you have nothing to apologize for. Okay? Short of you doing something intentionally terrible or something, got nothing to apologize for. You were at the dentist. Well, good. I hope your teeth are well. And thank you, Keeverdam, for providing the links to the GoFundMes for our friends Moonshock, Natalie, Angela Arriaga, James Colley, and Rhonda. Please take a look at those if you have the opportunity. Also, if you didn't already know, and maybe you don't, I have a Discord server where we just kind of, talk about stuff. And, I advertise my shows upcoming and things like that. And I also, shill out for my friends in the true crime genre and elsewise. So there's a link to the Discord server in the chat now. If you'd like to join the Discord, just click on that link. You'll find yourself on the Say Hello channel. And all you have to do there is say hello. But in addition to saying hello, you have to give us the secret word. The secret word will tell me and my moderators that you actually watch the show and have thus earned the right, the privilege, and the entitlement to join the server. It also tells me that you're not a bot. So that's also useful. And today's secret word is inclusion. Just say, hello, inclusion, and I'll know that you watched the show. Additional episodes in this Bridge series, looking at both Bridge and the members of the executive committee as I can find material regarding them, will be continuing. I don't know that I'll do one tomorrow, but in the near future, so keep your eyes out for that. If you want to follow me on Twitter, X, it's at scribe_light, capital S, capital L, and just find me there on Twitter. Beyond that, you can always find me here Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for TED Excellence, where I take a look at off-brand TED Talks for information and entertainment. I call it infotainment because I came up with that all by myself. Anything that was said before this very moment did not exist, and I'm an innovator. I swears I am. But either way, I need to go. So everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Let me know what you thought about this and Bridge in the comments below. Leave a like on the way out if you would. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated, either to myself or to the GoFundMe's pinned at the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. It is very much appreciated. Wait a second. Keeverdam says, I haven't been watching your Sunday streams lately since my work schedule changed, just posting the fundraisers. I appreciate it. Keeverdam. Usually I'm scrambling when I start these things, and I'm like, I need to have the list independently set aside so that if you're not here for whatever reason, I can still get those up there. But them's the breaks today. But I always appreciate it. And again, everyone, if you haven't already, as I have, tell Keeverdam she has nothing to apologize for. Beyond that, everyone, hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday and week ahead. I hope you are all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.